guys, today we're super excited to be talking to Bret Johnson, CFO of Team Johnson. He's got some amazing news for us. So yeah, let's go ahead and
we get to jump into all things investing, which we're super excited for. So
Fun.
thank you.
Let's make some
much.
money.
Yes. Make your money, make money, right?
That's exactly the way. That's what the goal is. That's the real American dream is make your money, keep making more money.
Yes.
I love it.
Awesome. So give us a little bit of background how you even got started. I follow your stories and love seeing all your tips and stuff, but how did you get started in this world of investing?
My investing kind of came in play because when I took over at Team Johnson, I didn't really have a niche. Like I didn't go to school to like our first initial business together, Shalene and I, was a fitness business. And I didn't know much about the fitness industry. So I kind of like had to find my niche, and my niche ended up being like, I can save us money by trying to figure out like how to get back in the day when we were doing like DVDs and VHSs, like how to like get a better deal if we ordered, 10,000 units rather than 5,000 units, even if we weren't going to use the 10,000 units, but we were going to space them over the year. So I was always into like saving the company money. And I remember the very first time I did that, and it's one of an easy tip. Like I know you guys would suggest like flip something in your house real quick. One of the things that I always suggest is like, just go through your credit cards and now, not like 20 years ago when I did it, but now they have like apps that help you do it. I think like Truebill is one of them. And they literally go through your credit card statement. And they're like, you really want to pay for this as a subscription? You're paying this amount of money. And, it might be something you just signed up for a trial and all of a sudden it went into a subscription, and you get rid of those. And people are like, oh my gosh, I saved like $200 this month just by doing that. So I used to tell people like, go through your credit cards, once a quarter and make sure like, everything on there is legit. And you're not getting double charged, or you're not, you've canceled the membership or the subscription or whatever it might be. So I kind of started out by just trying to make our companies more profitable. And my backstory is with money. I was addicted to gambling. So we're not. I know we're not here to talk about that, but that's kind of like where it all started. Like, so I had an addiction to gambling, and we've worked through all that, but I still, to this day, because I channeled my energy somewhere else for the good into investing. So I'm I was addicted to gambling, and now I still take care of the money, but my passion is making and seeing it grow rather than like betting on something and hoping that it grows, or hoping that I win. So, so the passion is just trying to see where we can invest money that's safe, because nobody wants to lose money.
Right.
And in investing, there's always that risk, no matter what it is. And so what my objective is to like, we started investing in our mid 30s. So I knew we had some time. So, at that point in your mid 30s or 20s, you can invest a little bit more aggressively, meaning you can take a little bit more risk because you have a longer time to make money back. But even then, I had this, I read it in a book where it's just like, just invest in companies that you see every day. Like everybody's got one of these. Everybody's got an Apple. So why just invest in Apple? I mean, Amazon, just like the things that you see around you all the time, you might as well invest in those because they're not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
That's great advice. And just earlier today, Melissa and I were talking about subscriptions. Nowadays, you get them. And I'm just thinking back to what you were saying. Those things get you, and you don't even realize how much you are spending on subscriptions. So I actually wrote that down. Truebill is what you said.
I believe Truebill, but there's a bunch of them. If you just Google, Google's anything I say here right now, just Google it.
Okay.
Okay. Top 3 apps that will, check your subscription and memberships.
Cool.
And then they'll pop up. I think Truebill, when I just did a little deep dive in the last couple of weeks, and I think Truebill ended up being like number 1 on every rating. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's great advice for us personally, because
Yes.
I know that's where we're at right
you
now.
sign up for stuff and then you forget about it. And there's $7, $10, and it
Adds up.
It does.
and you could be investing it instead.
Yes.
And it's cool because I like it. Like my mind thinks go buy something or sell something that you have and make that money, but why not? You can do this right now and you can save that money. So no, I absolutely love that tip for sure. That's an amazing tip that all of us can take away from it.
100%.
For sure.
That's something you can start with like right now, like people that are like, I just want to start saving money. There you go.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So the whole idea of investing, like most people know that they should at some point invest, but then like, where do you even get started? So if somebody's in debt, like should they start investing then still, or should they wait till they paid on their debt? What are your suggestions?
That's a great question, Melissa. That is almost like, and the answer isn't really easy, because if you get into debt, more times than not, you've lacked some kind of discipline. Okay. We got in debt because I was a gambler. So I lacked the discipline to manage that. Right. So most of the time people don't get in debt because it just doesn't happen. You know, I can understand like school debt or something like that, but you know, you knew what school you're going to, you knew how much it was going to cost. You could have made a plan. You could have gone to junior college for the first 2 years and cut that debt in half. And, you know, so there's lots of things. So I start off with like, how disciplined are you? Because if you're disciplined, you could set a plan together where you could start investing while you pay your debt down.
Okay.
But if you're one of those people that's not real disciplined and you really need to focus on one thing at a time, then I would focus on paying that debt down first, just because more than likely, like let's just say the average return in the stock market for the last 50 years is 8 to 10%. If your credit card is higher than that, then more than likely you're still like going to be just, you know, bobbing like a, you know, what are those little bobbers that you used to put in the fishing for the thing like that? You're just going up and down, you know? And so my first question that I ask anybody that asks me that, should I pay off my debt first or start investing? I was like, what's your discipline like? Can you pay off the credit cards every single month and also contribute a little bit to, you know, your retirement? And at that point, I wouldn't have you picking stocks. I would just have you pick a broad, your people are going to want to write this down. Just go to like Vanguard fund and pick a nice S&P index fund that what they do is they mirror what the S&P is doing, the S&P 500. And there's all kinds of them. You can pick aggressive ones. You can pick conservative ones. You can pick technology. You can pick financial. You can pick whatever you want. And I would just pick a broad one, which just takes all the best companies in the world or in the United States and puts them in a big, big pile. So that means you're not going to have days where you go up 50% and then you won't have days you go down 50%. You just kind of stay kind of steady Eddie. And I would just put that money into that fund. That's where I had both of my kids start, is just a Vanguard S&P fund.
So you're put there, if somebody opens that fund, they put the money in and then like they decide where it goes, right? And it's like a safer.
Yeah, you actually pick the fund. So it's like,
okay.
I'm going to pick this growth fund, or there's a bunch of them. If you went to, you go to Vanguard.com and just put in S&P 500 funds, there's a bunch of them.
Okay. But you don't have to do the research on the companies and know anything really, right? Like
no, they've already done it. It's So it's just a fund that has a bunch of stocks together. So I picked one that was really aggressive because my kids did them when they were in their teens, and they're in there with like high flying technology stocks, but there's other ones that are conservative, and each one of them, they'll when you click on them, you can read about like what stocks are in there. They give you what percentage the stocks of, it says Microsoft might be 6% of the fund. Apple might be 4% of the fund, Starbucks might be 2% of the fund, right? So they give you that, they give you all that breakdown, but then they also tell you like what the fund has done over the last year, 3 years, 5 years. So you can look to see like, oh, this one's done, really well over the last 3 or 5 years, that type of thing. So it's just a really good, and it takes all the guesswork out of it.
Okay.
Like you don't have to like going, oh my gosh, do I pick Wells Fargo or Bank of America or JP Morgan? No, just pick this. They'll probably have all three of them in there. So you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I love it. And that goes back to kind of like what you originally said is these companies that are around you, these are the companies that are in these index funds, correct? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. They're not putting companies that are like, have no revenue.
Okay.
Or there's no company in there that's not making money.
Right.
And you just, it's a sound way to start.
Yeah.
I love it.
Dip your toe in.
Yeah.
I love it.
So if somebody does want to open one of these, they're just getting started. How much money do they need to start?
They're all different. They're all different.
Okay.
I think they're 500 to 1,000 to start. So if that's out of the budget, if that's something out of the budget, that might be something that you save towards.
Okay. Yeah.
You might put it in you put it away and you're just like, that's not for credit cards. That's not for a vacation. That's not for shopping. My goal is to get $1,000 so I can buy into this Vanguard fund, and boom, as soon as you get it, you do it. Then because the only other way to do it is you'd have to pick individual stocks to like invest that money in, and it could go up and down and fluctuate. And that can be, that's the other question I always ask anybody, like, what's your risk tolerance?
I know people could get really like, you're staring at it like, oh no.
And most people, when they see, oh no, they sell, and that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And that's another question I had too, is like, we're talking about long-term investing, right? Mm-hmm. We're not talking about just putting money in and leaving.
100%, because this is the former gambler. So anything like when people ask me about like options and puts and like betting if a company is going to go up or down in the next 3 weeks, I don't even I've never even researched it. I don't want to know about it. I know that could maybe trigger me.
Yeah. So
I don't even go there. I listen to it and I'm just like, oh, that doesn't sound like fun to me.
Yeah. So
I'd rather just like, oh, if I have an extra X amount of money, and I'll put it in Apple.
Yeah.
The sure thing. That's it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like in my mind, it's like a savings account, but only it's going to be growing a lot faster than a
correct.
Savings account.
And there's some stocks, I know we're getting a little deep, but there's some stocks that they're called dividend stocks that they actually pay you every quarter to be in them.
Oh,
some of them pay really high. So like like oil stocks, a lot of the oil stocks pay you a lot of money to get in. So like if you bought Chevron in 2020, if you bought ExxonMobil and Chevron when the pandemic hit and everybody was like freaking out, nobody's ever going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to need gasoline ever. And and you were like, well, that's not going to happen. Right. And you bought their companies, they were paying you the entire time to stay around. They literally give you a dividend, and it's just money you can just reinvest, or it's just your money.
Wow.
That's cool.
So I know a lot of times I'm trying to see how this question, I'm putting my money in, I'm knowing this is kind of saving for retirement, but then how does it work if I wanted, like, if I've made some money in 10 years and I can still access that money?
Yeah. So it depends on what account it's in. So there's all kinds of different, and I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
So, I want you to refer to that person, and I'm not a financial advisor. So anything I'm saying right now, I'm not going to be held responsible for.
Personal preference. We got it.
But so there's different, there's retirement accounts, like SEP IRAs and all the defined benefit plan. And, if I sat down with you guys personally, I know you guys own your own company, and, I don't know what your retirement is, but if I sat down with you privately, I would suggest that you ask your accountant about a defined benefit plan, because it's something that Shalene and I are in, because we own a couple businesses where we're the only employees. And if you own your LLC and you really are the only employees in there, there's some really good tax savings there. But so if you're to answer your question, Melissa, if you're in like one of those accounts, you can't take it out until you retire. There's a major penalty.
Okay.
But you're not taxed along the way. If that makes sense. So so let's say, for instance, you put $1,000 in, and 10 years from now, it's $20,000. There's a penalty to take it out. So you don't want to take it out of there. Now, it could be in a stock in there, and you're like, I don't like that stock anymore. And you could trade the stock, right? Okay. If you did that in a private portfolio, you'd have to pay taxes on that. But if you do it inside of your retirement account, you're not taxed on it until you retire.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
So there's so a lot of people will trade individual stocks in their retirement account because they're not getting the capital gains for that year.
Yeah.
But if let's say, for instance, you were, your mom had been buying you, your mom and dad had been getting, grandparents had been gifting you like Apple stock since you were, so you had all this money in Apple, right? And you were going to go buy a house and you're like, but we could use that money for a down payment. It's that much money, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you take that out, if it's been a year, if you've held the stock for more than a year, the tax range is, I think it's around 15%. It depends on your tax bracket. So that's why you have to check with your accountant, but it's around 15-20%.
Okay.
If you take it out under a year, it's 35 to like 40%.
Yeah. Don't take it out under a year.
That's why it's like, that's why it's called long-term investing. Because if you're taking it out all the time, it's like you're a day trader, you're going to be taxed at a crazy amount. Yeah.
Right. So don't.
Cool. Good to know for sure.
That.
Yeah.
So somebody who maybe not be a numbers person, like I don't love numbers, but we want to invest. So how much time are we looking into looking up? We want to look into Vanguard to do that. Like how much time do I need to set aside to learn all this stuff?
Get the education.
Yeah. I mean, so I started off by just you listen to a podcast? Do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
So all the CNBC shows have their own podcasts. So they literally just take their hour show, and they make it into a podcast. Okay. So you could listen. So if you don't have the time during the day to sit there in front of the TV because you have work and kids and everything like that, you could listen to them on podcasts. They're excellent. They give sound advice. They talk about companies. They talk about just the world, the way the business, the business minds think of the world. If Russia invades Ukraine, not what does that do politically? What does that do financially? So I didn't know this. I just learned this today. I guess if this happens, oil is going to go through the roof. Like if you own like oil stocks, especially refineries, your stock's going to go through the roof. Wow. Because they're going to be making less of it. So it becomes all of a sudden scarcer. So it drives up the price.
Right.
So I just learned that today. So, because I haven't been around when, because Russia is a big oil country. Right. So I haven't been around when, I'm sure that's what happened when it happened in the Gulf War and stuff like that. I'm sure oil went crazy. So you start learning like that part of it. But in answer to your question, how long? I mean, if you started just doing 15 to 30 minutes a day, but here's the thing. Take out a piece of paper and just write down all the companies that you see and touch and look at and who advertises on the Super Bowl this weekend. Right? So look at all those things, and those are the companies you invest in. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that's great advice for sure. Because those are the companies typically that should be going up and not down.
I mean, for instance, do you own, how many pairs of Lululemon pants do you own?
Right.
Like, so what I saw that as a trend like 5 or 6 years ago. I started buying Lululemon. I was like, everybody buys this stuff. Like you go to the gym and everybody's wearing Lululemon. I'm like, forget Nike. Let's just buy Lululemon.
No, that's fun. We actually did listen to your podcast from a little while back recently, talking all about like beginner investing. You recommended another website, and do you remember?
Oh, it was for savings. For if you were not.
Yeah, it's not as good anymore.
Oh, okay.
It was Wealthfront.
Yes, that was one.
Okay, so the reason why that's not good is because the interest rate is so low. So they can't give away money that's not there. So their company is based on the interest rate. So it's a great place if you want to park your money. You will make more interest than you will in a savings account, 100%. And it's called Wealthfront.
Okay,
cool. They're still around. So if you have money that's just sitting around and you want to have access to it immediately, they're a great app to download. And I haven't been on their app recently, but they were moving towards where you can buy like stocks on their site and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Wealthfront's a great one.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe talk about that too, about putting your money in, because we are talking about long-term. And I remember on your podcast, you're saying, if you have money to sit on, if you're going to need that money, you know, in the next 6 months, it might not be the best place to put it into the S&P 500. What would you suggest right now? Would you still suggest Wealthfront, or would you?
I mean, I would just put it into Wealthfront, because anything else could just, like, you know, anything can happen in 6 months, right?
Especially this
if
time.
you knew in November, when you were eating your Thanksgiving turkey on 2019, that the world was going to come to an end as we know it on March 2020, you would have made we wouldn't be talking here right now. You guys would own some island in, you know,
right.
in the
I would have got
Bahamas.
Zoom. I would have gotten Zoom.
Yeah, you'd been buying Zoom all the way up until the crash, and then you know. But yeah, so it's like literally you'd have bought Zoom and Pellet, all the stay-at-home stocks.
Yeah.
So it's there's no crystal ball. So if you need, I always say, if you need that money, don't put it in the market. Not that, but I don't want people to get scared and go, oh, well, the market's not safe. No, the market just goes like this. And the people that make money in the stock market, right, are the people that are in it for the long haul. They don't get emotional about it. Right.
Yeah.
And they, you know, it's like some days are going to be good and some days are going to be bad.
I mean, and it does, like, it goes in waves, like the same, like with the housing market too, it goes up and down. And then, but even though like people would sell and they think it's the best, well, 10 years ago, that was the best. Well, then it was still even better 10 years later. 100%. So, you know, it went down, but it only went down a little bit and then went way up. So,
and you know, there are some companies that if you look at, and they're really good companies, and you look at them like 10 years, like they have spikes and stuff like that. So I'm one of those people that I think that you should take profits, like you were talking about earlier, Melissa. When you have a company that's doing really well, one of my mentors, so his name's Jim Cramer, he has his own show on CNBC called Mad Money, and he also has an investment club. And I'm not an affiliate, but you can invest $240, and you get every single one of his trades before he does them.
Wow,
that's cool.
And he tells you how many shares he's going to trade, how many he's going to buy, why he gives. There's every day he gets on a conference call for like 15 minutes and tells people what's going on in the market today. So if you want to get educated, I don't know where else you're going to get for $249 somebody that's been doing it for 40 years, all of their expert picks. Now, do you have to buy every stock that he says? No, but his motto is this. Okay, so when the market's going way up, they call that like a bull market. When the market's going the other way, they call that a bear market, right? So his motto is this. He's like, bears make money, bulls make money. He says, but pigs get slaughtered, which means if you're a pig and you just think like it's just going to keep going up and you're never going to take profits, you're going to eventually get slaughtered.
Right. Because
it always comes down. I mean, look at Facebook. Facebook just recently dropped like 40% in a month. Zuckerberg lost like $20 billion. Wow. But only on paper.
Right.
It didn't sell. So it's just on paper. And you got to understand that it's you're buying a share in the stocks, and it's an ebb and flow. They're going to go up and down, you know, but when they're way up, you got to take a little bit off the table. You got to take 20% or 25% or 30% or whatever you feel comfortable with. And what you do is you just put that in cash, and it gives you something else. You can go buy something else. Or when the market goes down,
then you can buy.
You can buy it back for, you know, that type of thing if you really like it. Yeah. I mean, I've done that before where I sold something that goes down, you know, 20%. I'm like, I still love the company.
Right.
Buy it back.
That's awesome.
I was gonna ask you what you think about those apps like Robinhood and the ones that, I mean, does it matter, or is it they all kind of just different things?
Right now they're I personally like E-Trade.
Okay.
And I don't know a lot about cryptocurrency.
Okay.
I don't know. I know enough to know that Shalene and I have some crypto. Basically, we have like three things. We have three, whatever they are. So we have Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, and we have one called Cardano. Those are the only three we have. So if you want to follow along, that's us. This is what I do on crypto. If we woke up tomorrow morning and people were like, "Oh, crypto was a big joke. It was funny. We tricked you." I'd be like, "Oh, we lost a little bit of money, but we don't have to change our lifestyle."
Right.
That's where I am with crypto. But if it went to it went crazy, we'd be like, "Oh, this is fun. We got some great vacations that we can do with this." That's where we're at with crypto.
Yeah.
Love it.
So it's more like just an extra thing. It could be good.
Yeah, it's like
be-
it's like a little side thing.
Yeah.
It's like play. It's not play money, because all money should be useful. It's just money that, it's almost like it's high risk. Let's call it that, high risk.
Yeah. Don't bet the farm on it for sure.
Yes.
Because you don't know.
Yeah. There's so much unknowns with crypto.
Yeah.
So we haven't.
And that's right. I mean, it was like $70,000 a Bitcoin, and it went all the way back down to 25. I mean, it's like, what?
Wow.
Right. So your top thing for somebody just getting started would be look at Vanguard. Would be what are your top recommendations?
100%.
And
yeah,
that's
especially if they have no, like if they know they should be investing, but they don't want to take the time. Take an hour out of your day, spend some time on Google, get over to Vanguard, do some research, pick a fund, and like set it and forget it. Like,
and just walk away.
Set it up so it like you automatically deposit a certain amount into that fund every single month.
Yeah. So that seems like that's the easiest way to get
Heck
started.
yeah.
And then you
don't have, if you just did that and you were young, you'd never have to do anything else.
Yeah. Oh, that was my other question. So some people think maybe they're too old to start investing. So is there a time like, oh, it's a waste of time? Like I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you just look at the track record of the market. It's like, now, are you going to become massively wealthy if you decide to start investing when you're 60 or 65? Probably not. But I mean, it's still a better place to put your money than a bank.
Yeah. And I love that you did that with your kids. Like that is so cool. Like you taught them how to do that, right?
Now my daughter is less into it, but she knows she has it, and she sees what's going on. Like she checks it.
Yeah.
And you know what? But she's 21.
Right.
So, but trust me, when she's 30 and she's got kids and she just looks back at that thing and she's like, wow. And I tell them, I'm like, just put in a little bit, because you can never time the market. And timing the market means like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy it when it's the lowest. No, the experts will tell you they've been doing this for 40 years and
they can't get it right.
So like, don't try to do that. So just put it in some months, the market will be up a little bit, and some months the market will be down. It all evens out.
Right.
And, so I know she'll be very happy that she started early. My son's into it. Like he's into it. Like he kind of like got me into crypto, and he's like, Dad, you should really buy this. And so naturally, because he's more into it, I will text him separately and say, hey, you know what? You really have a strong conviction about this stock. This is what's going on right now. So you're young, go for it.
Yeah.
He's young. I mean, he should be going for it.
Yeah. You have time to mess up.
Recoup if you have to.
And he's still, he's still the same as me. It's like, we pick stocks that are like best in breed or the second best, it's like, you don't want the 10th best team. You want the best team.
Yeah. We're not trying to bet on stuff. We just want to get the stuff that's going
well. You want your money to grow. That's
it.
That's awesome.
No. And we love that. Like with the kids, we want to start teaching our kids better about money. We teach them how to flip now. They do this with us, but it's something like our parents weren't the best with money. And so it's something we really have to work on to help with them. So that's really cool.
You were asking about apps, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
Acorn's another one.
Okay. Yeah.
In Acorn, what they do is you can buy fractional shares.
Okay.
So let's say Amazon right now is $3,200 a share, one share, $3,200. People are like, wait, what? Right? But Acorn, what they do is you go on the app. I've done. You can watch some YouTubes on it. There's some really good YouTube guys that explain what happens. But you basically you round up to the nearest dollar on all your transactions.
Okay.
So like you go to Starbucks and, you pay $4.50 and it literally gives you the margin on Acorn where you can like go, I want to round up to the nearest dollar, or I want to round up whatever it is. There's all kinds of different settings that you can do. And then now you're kind of saving money. Instead of taking that 75 cents and putting it in the tip jar, it just automatically just goes to Acorn. And then you can invest money that way. Yeah.
And that seems like something very doable.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the Yankees that used to be married to J-Lo, or dated her, the big baseball player.
His name's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know.
Gosh, what's his name?
Something
I forget. We'll have to,
A-Rod?
A-Rod. Yeah, I think he's A-Rod. I think he's
Got it.
I think he's one of the backers of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And he did it for that reason, because he knew like minorities might not be able to, he literally said that minorities might not be able to just afford like a big lump sum, but he wanted them to start learning and investing. Yeah.
Awesome.
What a great concept, because it is. I mean,
it makes it accessible for anybody. So that would be great for us to start.
Cool.
Yeah. Most of these apps now don't charge fees for trades.
Okay. Now, so where can everybody go and follow you? And I know like you
or even connect with you. What's the best way that we could
on Instagram? They can
Okay.
DM me. I pretty much answer all the questions. I don't have a VA answering my questions, and the financial ones I usually, it's like you answer the questions that are the most like,
interesting.
I cook and I put some cooking thing and like, what do you use for this? I'm like, hey, I don't know that. But like if somebody's asking me about like, what do you think about this? Like somebody just asked me today, like what I think about like the AMC type stocks that, that run up really fast. I'm like, I just don't get involved with them. I go, cause they can go to zero just as fast as they double.
It went up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's scary. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll put your a link to your Instagram account below.
And all the other stuff too. We'll put the links below for
some of the
Acorn
recommendations.
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Bret, thank you. This was awesome. So much fun hanging
welcome.
with you and learning some more stuff.
Anytime.
So.
Yeah.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.